And welcome. I know it's early in the day for some of you, like me, and it's really early in the morning for uh, those of you that are maybe in the West Coast. But those of you on the East Coast, it's middle of the morning, and those of you on oh, hi, Michael. Wow, you need my help through the fountain pen question. Yeah, I was looking. I didn't see a blank for fountain pens. But do you have one, or I mean, what exactly is the question that maybe I can help you with on that, Michael? While we're kind of waiting for others to get in here, maybe we can talk about that a second. Just trying to get everything lined up and set up here. And I think, well, I'll kind of hold this news off for just a minute. There we go. I think possibly I have fixed the problem of the signal being shut off. So, Michael, I'll wait for you to get back in here and we can discuss. You see, there's 3 people watching. That's good. That's a start. Good morning. These are one of suicide. Here for the moment. There we go. Okay. I know it's bright and early for most of you. So actually, we call you. That's it. Okay. I wear a sensor and it gets all upset if I'm not wearing my sensor, and I took it off and ended it, and the machine's kind of like all upset about that. So just have to live with it. It also doesn't like having the program turned off. It's really kind of weird. It's like something you can't get rid of. Oops. Good. That'll work. And we'll swing this in here. I can get it in there. That one's a little light. I think I'll go a different one. So, I don't know who all's in here, but welcome if you are in here. Good to hear from you or see you. And we're going to cover a few things this morning. This was a surprise, in a sense. I was not expecting to do this, but I was kind of compelled to do it because of a couple things. And that was because of the way my videos had not been coming through lately. There we go. And I wanted to kind of explain what I think I found out to be the problem, and it might help others too. I might even make a separate video for this. Hey, Michael. So your question is, are all fountain pen ink cartridges standard size? And are you better to use a cartridge or the part that comes with the kit? If you're talking about like the pen, let me see if I can find one here. Here we go. Now, if you're talking about a fountain pen, I would say probably use the cartridge that the kind of that comes with it. Um, One of the problems that they're having right now is that these, of course, the best ones were made by Cross, and as I understand it, Cross is no longer selling these, at least over in the European market. That's what I heard from an Irish turner recently, and so that's why he's going to the ones that look like a Parker refill, because they're not making these refills anymore in the Cross line. And he likes to, and of course, you want to put a quality pin insert in there, so that could be part of it. Now, if you're talking about the uh, ones for the fountain pens, I've only seen a few of them. I thought it was like, it's like a tube, isn't it? Isn't it like a tube like this, and then it has a or is it like, does it have the whole thing, including the nib? They come with the ones you fill. Ah, well, that's a good question. Have you queried the? I don't know. I know you get yours from a pen company, but have you queried, like, is there a group question place or something, or an FAQ where you could ask that question of the supplier? And if not, let's throw it out to the group there. And anybody else, has anybody else turned fountain pens? And what do you do with the cartridge? International standard cartridges. Well, they say it'll take it. I'd go with it. It seems to me nobody wants to fill their cartridges nowadays. I mean, trying to find. I mean, there are some people that will do it, but quite honestly, I think for the most part, you're going to find people that are willing to just say, I'll just buy the cartridge. So that's the way I would go, Michael, if that's what they offer. And for any of you out there that don't know Michael, this Michael is a board handcrafted woodwork. He's just getting his uh, channel going. So please take a look over there. He does some really good wood, some pen turnings, and I think that you're gonna enjoy seeing how he grows his channel. Um, but I just, Michael, I think that's what we just let's put out to the group here. If any of you rest of you do that, let us know. Meanwhile, if you would hit the like button and subscribe, or subscribe if you haven't, that would be great. I'm going to be doing a little bit of everything here this morning. Yes, we do have wood turning, for those of you that are worried about it going away. But one of the things I did want to talk about this morning was what happened with the channel. Well, I kept getting low signals, or low getting cut off. We would be on here live for a little bit, and then it would shut us off. And it's not YouTube's fault. This is not a YouTube thing. This is it's an internet thing, but it's also something that can be fixed with your phone. If you change the quality, if you change the bandwidth needed on your phone for uploading, because uploading is always the problem. Your internet provider gives you a lot of room to download stuff because they want you to stream and do all that. They don't give you as much for upload speed. Now, I've got a 1 gig system, and I've got really fast download speeds, but my upload speeds, or my upload is about 20 megabytes per second, which is pretty good. That's good enough for high quality video, but that's if nothing else is drawing on your system. And if you've got some Alexa devices, if you've got some TVs that pull off of that, anything that's pulling off of your internet and feeding up and down both, is going to affect that overall speed that you have available for your video here. So that's kind of part of the problem. So I want to make sure that we can actually stay on now. So what I did is I changed the from 1080 to down to 720. I don't think there's much of a drop off in the quality of the video, but it looks like it might have a much better control of the signal, and we won't have any drop off. So that's part of what we're doing this morning. Secondly, I have a whole set of really nice tool rests here, and you see I've got one in here, and they're all really, really nice ones. They're real well built, but they're all a little bit long for my tool rest, my banjo. So rather than send them back, I've been cutting them off about this much, and you can see these are really solid. Okay, and I was trying the heck of a time trying to figure out how am I going to take these off. Well, that was easier than I actually thought it would be with a reciprocating saw. Now, a reciprocating saw is usually used for demolition and for other things like that, but you can get metal blades for cutting metal, and it does take about 10 minutes to cut through that 1-inch piece of metal. But in a vise, put it in a vise, and you can use this. And I was able to cut through, and I've done 2 of these so far, and I've got a couple more to do. But now I'll be able to use all of these nice tool rests that I had that I couldn't use before because I couldn't fit. They would not fit well in my banjo. So, just a little tip for all of you, if that's an issue you have. When you order yours, you can cut them down. Okay. So what I have here is an S sweep, and that's really good for getting way down inside here because you want to have a nice stable platform that's really close when you're working your tools. And this way, I'm right in there, and I'm not going to have any trouble getting in there and cleaning things out. Now, this particular piece of wood was a piece that we had. We were turning the other day, last week, I think, and one of the problems that I had was there was a crack that went through here and through here. So what to do with it? Well, what I did was I did my normal thing I do with cracks. I put some glue in there, and I put some of the sawdust in there, and it it dried up now really good. And what I want to do is kind of see how much this can sand out, and I can refinish this. So we're going to do a little of this first. See how much of that crack we can make go away. And you can see it's doing a pretty good job of that right now. I'm going to just do this for a little bit. There. And now that crack doesn't look like a crack so much anymore. It just looks like a normal part of the inside of the wood. If you can see there, I'm going to get you a little closer there so you can see that. Oops. See, now it just looks like it's part of the wood. I'll sand that off just a little bit more, but make sure it doesn't have any high spots. And it should strengthen it too. If you do worry about something like a crack like that. And it's going away a little. Even better. I'll get a little bit different grit here and keep going. And good morning, everybody out there. Or good afternoon, depending on where you are. I always like to know where people are from, so if you don't mind getting in the comment section there and just tell us what part of the world are you watching from, so we can kind of build the community out a little bit. I do these early morning my time so that some of the people in other parts of the world have a chance to watch our videos and join. Being on the west coast of the United States, it's 6:15 a.m. for me right now. I'd imagine overseas it's middle afternoon or even early evening in some places. Let's see. That's coming along. Okay. Let's see if I can. One other thing I would mention, part of the reason I'm able to do this is because I have that recessed miter tenon on my wood. Winnipeg, Canada. Hi, Josh. Stuart in Austin, Texas. Okay, well, you're just having breakfast, I would say. Video quality is good. Great. Thank you. Appreciate that. So, okay, so I got a couple of North Americans. Now, what about anybody? I know I got one Scotsman. And it's probably what, 2:30 in the 2:15 in the afternoon over there, something like that. Maybe a little later. Mike? Okay. Yeah, that's nice and smooth in there now. Okay, I'm going to get some of that out of there. Get that dust out. Okay. There. Now I can wipe this out a little bit. Because any little fine dust that you get in there muddies the finish. You can see what that crack looks like on the back side. So it does go from here all the way to here. That's pretty prominent. In fact, I think I'm going to go ahead and do the outside too, just a little bit before I go any further. Right there. Just kind of make sure that's okay. I don't like it to have any kind of a raised surface on there. Sorry. So you can need to pull back out a bit so that you can see what I'm doing here. Probably being the cameraman, the film editor, the director, and the host. You kind of have to do everything at once. So there we go. That's better, and that's fine right here. So by using the miter tenon, I'm able to remount this, go back and fix any little things that pop up. And if it was really green wood, yes, it would possibly get a little out of shape. But usually you can true up that interior tenon real easily and then go from there. So I don't see that as being an issue. Those are all good. Okay, good. All right. So now I will put the finish on it again. I know it's going to suck it up because that was not the final coat I put on before. So this is going to suck this up. Oh, it smells so good, though, that limonene oil that I mix in with the tung oil gives it that nice kind of orange, citrusy smell. There we go. And just kind of makes it smell a little bit better in here than just smelling me. That's for sure. Okay. A little on that side, and then we'll do the inside. Okay. Let's. And don't have to worry too much about if you get a bristle or something that, like with shellac or something. If you use shellac, if you get a bristle on there, you don't want it to sit there because it will dry on and stick and become and make it real hard to get out. When you're doing something like tung oil, it's just absorbing into the wood, and you go back and wipe off any spots that don't get absorbed, and so you don't have to worry about things sticking because it does not make your brush hard. It doesn't get hard on the surface. It gets hard inside where it strengthens and dries in the wood and makes the wood harder instead. So that's why I like using tung oil. You can use the same brush. I've been using this $1 brush for probably the last, I don't know, 15 bowls or more. I haven't changed it. It's still doing just fine. Still nice and flexible, as you can see. And just kind of giving the inside there a little treatment. A couple bristles are coming off. It might be time soon to change this just because it is starting to lose a few bristles. I've noticed the last week or two. But as far as being easy to clean out, no, that's not a problem, and nothing's going to get stuck on there. That's the good part. It's also self-leveling, so you don't get any high spots or low spots or bubbles. It doesn't make bubbles. Yeah, I'm starting to lose one of those. I might have to retire this brush. Um, you don't get bubbles with tung oil. You just get a nice finish, and you can go back over it with very high grit, like 8,000 grit or maybe steel wool or something. If you want to use steel wool, I'm not a big fan of steel wool because it tends to leave little metal furry spots in there that you have to try and dig out sometimes. But you can go with a fine grain in between coats, just to make sure you keep a really nice, smooth surface. This is very smooth feeling, but I'm sure you can make it a little more glassy if you did a very high grit. Okay, let's take this off of here. So all it was holding it was the very end there. I'm going to go let this sit and dry a bit. Now, try and remember to come back over and wipe it down later. What's going on over here? Let's see what we got going. Hi, Francis. So I'd like if you guys can tell us where you're from. It's really helpful. You got a couple guys in there that did. I appreciate that. But there's 140 of you watching right now. It'd be nice to know where you're all from too. So our next project, I'm going to be putting this on, and we'll see what we can do. Something a little different with this one, I think. I just got to put a couple more screws in. I think it's pretty secure, but I kind of like screwing things in. It's kind of makes you feel like you're building something, even if you're just screwing screws into a piece of wood. It gives you kind of a feeling of accomplishment of some sort. I don't know. Maybe it goes back to childhood. But here we are. I like to use a face plate, especially on a soft wood like this, because if you use that drive nut that comes with your chuck, I find that sometimes on softer woods it tends to tear out or give you other problems. Get these out of the way. Thank God I got a table behind me. Okay. I'm going to be putting my mask on, so if I sound a little bit muffled, forgive me. But there's my mask. Okay. And we'll put this on. And I guess I'm going to have to take this rest out for now. We'll go back to our standard rest for the moment. And you notice different rests, even though they say 1 inch, different ones have a different thickness, really. It says 1 inch, but that doesn't mean it's really 1 inch. Okay. I mean, it could be in millimeters. It could be off just slightly, or maybe it wasn't manufactured just as well. A lot of different reasons. And I always like to move this out of the way. It's not going to be in my way while I'm turning. Get squared up a little bit. There we go. That looks good. All right. Check this in here. I'm going to sharpen this up just a hair, simply because it's always better to have a sharp tool than not a sharp tool. That way you're not forcing things. I'll do my trick I always do here. Make sure I've got exactly 2 inches. And excuse me for looking away from me for a moment. This only takes a couple seconds to do. But I want to make sure that I get a nice sharp edge to start with, at least. Okay. And let's see how that looks. There we go. Nice new sharp edge. That should work just fine. Okay. So this is where we make a mess. So let's get it spinning. And part of the problem I got here is I got this slice in this wood. Maybe I should show you. I got this slice right here where whoever was sawing this got offline, so I got to take all this back stuff off, and I got to round it. So I'm kind of going to round it first. A little bit. There we go. Now I got chips flying. Okay. Well, we're rounder. We're not round yet, but we're rounder. I think I'll work on this backside now, just to kind of get it squared up a little bit. Let's see, I think I need to drop this down just a little bit. Let's see. Ooh. Yeah, I'm gonna have to lower this just a little, just a hair more. I don't like going downhill towards the middle. There we go. Let's get it right in there this time. And yes, there's some large pieces being thrown at me. I might lighten up just a little bit here. Whoa! That was that whole middle piece. Look at that. I hope there was no, like, unfortunately, there was nobody on the other side of the shop. I think that one took off a little bit. We got quite a chunk here, but we're getting down to it now. I'm going to take a lighter stroke. So I'm not being beaten up here. Okay, we're getting closer. All right. I'm going to get this, move this one some closer now too. There we go. Now it's a little bit concave still. I got to straighten it up just a little bit, but we're getting to the bottom of this. Okay. Let's see how good we are. We got a little bit of an arc in there. Not much. I can take that out pretty easily. But now we have a nice, pretty flat surface to work with. So let's take our trusty tool here. See if we can't flatten this out just a bit. I love using a skew like this to flatten this down. Straighten this out. Just make for a nice smooth surface. There you go. I can run this across there. Oh yeah. There's very tiny little bit gap, but not enough to make a difference when we're turning here. And some of that will be taken out when we shape this and do the rest. So there we go. We got a place now to put a tenon. Now I'm just going to go back and finish the side work. Any comments in there? Yeah, we got 200 people here. It was actually, I appreciate that, guys. So, hey, Johnny, good to see you. Hey, Marilyn, great. What's Mr. Char Jackson? Is that it? Anyway, Johnny's Lathe. Check out Johnny's Lathe Crafts. He's got some great stuff on his channel, so please do give him a look. And Michael, if you get a chance, can you kind of put some of the channel names up here so we can, get them for Whacking Shack and 76 Seven Rockets and Boondocks and yours and everybody else's? I'd appreciate that. Yeah. That's it. Like this. Not sure if we got to round it out. I hear a little clatter. Let me see. A little tiny bit of chatter, but not my. Oh, there's a little prick out there. Okay, so let's make sure we got that cleaned up. In fact, I'll do this. I'll use this to do it. This is going to be more like a shallow bowl or a platter. And we want to make sure that we get a good finish, especially on this end grain, because that end grain can be a real problem if you don't make that as smooth as we can. You know, chatter right in here too. In fact, you know, this might be a good candidate for doing a rollover type. Oh, a little bit of a rollover like this. Do a little bit more rollover on this side too, then. You like that look better, guys? What do you think? No, it's more like, looks a little more like a tire actually at the moment. But that's, yeah, that's a little bit smoother. It's a little bit nicer. I think that'll work. Oh wow, Mike, thanks. You got them all up there. Perfect. You know, let's see if we can get to 100 likes today. That'd be really great. I'd like to see that. But more importantly, I want to show that we can stay online and not get knocked off due to signal loss or something like that. So, if you weren't here earlier, I said last few weeks we've been having a problem with signal loss, and I thought maybe YouTube was doing it. It's not YouTube, and I want to make sure everybody understands it's not YouTube. It is actually, well, I want to say it's my internet provider, but in a sense, it is because your internet provider decides what your upload speeds are going to be, and sometimes you cannot adjust that. But you can make sure that other things are not impeding your upload speeds. For instance, you can make sure that you turn off some devices that maybe use that do a lot of back and forth talking, like if you have an Alexa device or something like that, or the one that starts with S. Just say it that way. I want to set off your devices. And so that could be part of the problem, or if you have a lot of people watching TV at the time or streaming movies, that can also cause problems. Because when they do that, that makes it a little less bandwidth for you to send a signal out, and that's what I need when I'm doing these videos. I need to have enough bandwidth to upload live. And so I did a little adjusting to some of the things that were running in my house. I don't really like this the way this is, but we'll fix this look. Okay, got that. That's a little bit deeper than I wanted to go, but it'll work. Okay, we'll clean up this bottom a little bit more, and we'll kind of shade things here just a little bit. Like I said, I wasn't expecting this to be a big hole or a big project. That's a little better. Yeah. Yeah, I'll just clear that up just a hair. We can fix some of that with the sanding also, so I'm not too worried about it. There we go. Very light touch. You're barely pushing on this at all. Actually, you're just kind of letting it ride. And it does the cleaning off for you. Yeah, very nice. Okay, good. So now we got that squared away. I think that'll work just fine. Got to get in there and sand it down just a little bit. I'm gonna get you a little bit closer if I can here. You're not quite so far away from the action. There we go. And let's get some sanding going here. I'm gonna take my mask off for a minute. And I think I will turn this on. So apologize for that sound, but I'm gonna have to do something here to get the dust out of here. And I'm using this is my right angle sander. And the idea of this was the 80 grit, so it's pretty aggressive, and I don't want to use it too much, but I do want to take out some of these end grain issues and kind of get them to lay down or cut instead of lay down. I don't want them to lay down. And when you get end grain to lay down, what happens is it just folds over like this, and that just makes for a muddy look on the finish. If you can cut them straight off with good sanding paper, then you'll have a nice finish that absorbs the oils and so forth that you're putting on, and it will look a lot crisper. It'll be better to the touch too. So you want to make sure you're using good fresh sandpaper, not paper that's been used 4 or 5 times, because you're not going to get as good of a finish if you use the wrong sandpaper. Secondly, make sure that you are really inspecting with this first one, because the first one is going to be the one that really fixes any little turning problems. The next one is the one that will actually be going towards softening the turn and other things like that. So this is kind of the important one. The next ones are more just for smoothing the wood finish a little bit. So, okay, got that. I'm going to go backwards on this too. So really nice to have a reverse on your tool if you have it. If you don't, I would recommend looking for that in the next lathe that you get. Having a reverse really helps a lot. Okay. All right. Good. Now we'll go to a better grit. We'll go to a 120 grit, I think it is. 130 grit, something like 120 grit. And I don't want it to drag through here too much because it'll cause lines. I don't want to cause lines. I know there's hard spots and soft spots in this wood, especially pine, but also in oak and other pieces. You'll find hard and soft spots in the wood. It's just kind of natural to do that. But it can really mess up the look of your piece if you're not careful. And as I said the other day, I would normally spend maybe half an hour or more sanding, whereas here I'm only going to spend maybe 4 or 5 minutes with it because I know I don't want to waste your time and bore you guys to death watching me sand something. You know what sanding looks like. Right now we're kind of making a small spare tire is what we're making. And I know this doesn't look like much right now, but when we get a little finish on here, you'll see how this just really brightens up. I'm using 240 grit now. Oh yeah, that is very smooth. Like a baby's butt. There you go. Okay. Now we will. I'm going to have to do something I don't think I've done on live video before. Let me turn this off. I'm going to make a little more of my tung oil here solution. Don't look at the name of the brand, but I just make sure it's 100% tung oil. That's very important. You don't want extra additives in there. You don't need them, and it can affect the quality of the finish. So I always just use good tung oil. Oh, and this is a brand new bottle here, of course. So me with no fingernails is going to try and. No, I'm not. I'm going to just pop this open. Right. Do the man way, right? I don't need no stinking tools for this. Unless, of course, I'm telling my wife I need a tool for something. Then I tell her, oh, I need to have a tool for it. That's part of the game, right? And I'm not going to measure too much here, but that's good. Then I'm going to put in. This is called limonene, D-limonene, pure limonene. It's a extract of citrus oil from oranges. It smells great, and it does help with the penetration a little bit. And finally, cheap as it may sound, a little bit of mineral oil. It doesn't really hurt the tung oil. And I probably need a little more than that, but this will do for now. That was the end of that bottle. Okay. Yeah, very precise measurements, right? And then, of course, you need to really shake this good. There is no real separation in these oils. That's good, but you always want to shake anyway. Okay, good. That's well shaken. And let's put a little on here and see how it does. Oh, it's just going to soak it right up like crazy at first. That's why I knew I had to make some more because it wasn't going to. It was not going to go very far. It sucks it up right away. And you see how it brings the color out, but it's not changing any of the look of the wood. Okay. So we're going to go all the way around this. And I could put this on with a towel or a rag because this is a smooth surface. There's no real gaps or gouges or anything to work around. That's what you need a brush for, is to get into any little gaps or crevices and things like that. So I don't have to use a brush, but that's what I've got, and why not? And you can use a towel or a lint-free cloth, I should say, if you have them. And there we go. That's one coat. Now I'm going to get this cleaned out too. We don't need that dust in there when I'm trying to make a good connection. And that'll help strengthen those fibers just a hair. I'm going to put a little bit on here. Always doesn't hurt to strengthen those fibers a little bit. Just a little bit. Okay. Now, that's one coat. We'll let that just rest for a second. Hi, Benny. Hi, Arnie. Please let us know where you guys are from. I'd appreciate it. How are we doing on the likes, Michael? Are we want to get to 100 if we can. By the way, this is one of those pieces that came flying off the middle of that. That was a pretty good size chunk that hit me. So what we're going to do now is we're going to clean this up just a little bit with our handy dandy vacuum before we move on to the next section. Okay. Just to keep things cleaned up. And you can see this works pretty quickly. There you go. Sorry you have to watch this part, but this is part of wood turning too, is cleaning up after yourself or keeping your shop clean, because if you don't, it piles up on you really fast, and then you got bigger problems. Or you can trip, you can slip and fall. All this stuff under your foot makes for a great slipping surface. So I recommend you keep a vacuum handy and use it often so it doesn't catch up to you. There we go. Down here, down there, behind the lathe. Also helps your lathe run a little more efficiently, too. Okay, there's that. And get some off the floor here. I keep mats on the floor because it feels better to stand on that than to stand on cold concrete all day long while you're turning. And that cushioning just really will help your back as well as your feet in the long run. And I'm no spring chicken, as you probably all know. So anything that helps an old man keep from having back problems is always a good thing. Okay. It's not a perfect job, but it's good enough for me for now. As I used to say, it's good enough for government work, but since our government's closed right now, we don't have that problem. Okay. So let's take this off of here. Well, yeah, we'll take this off of here for now. And we're going to remove those screws. Oops. I like to use these square-headed screws, and I like to use stainless steel screws because they do not break off. I learned the hard way how hard it is to get part of a screw out when it gets stuck and broken in your bowl. It is a lot of work, and probably a few words that you shouldn't say out loud too often. So there we go. Okay. All right, so now we're going to mount this on the shuck, like so. And because I had a good fit on there, it doesn't, there. It should spin pretty well. Let's see. Oh yeah, that's very true. It's not bouncing at all. We got a very true connection. Just there. Got my stuff put away. All right. We don't have to worry about this side. We don't have to worry about that side. We only have to worry about the inside. So let's get to that. Put that on there. You notice I haven't used the tailstock at all for this turning because you don't hear it while you're starting off. It should just work pretty well. Okay. I'm going to put my mask back on because that's the safe thing to do when things are flying at you. Make sure I spin without getting hit or hitting anything. There we go. Good. All right, let's go to the inside of this. Get our speed up. Okay. I'm just going to take a very light cut first, just to kind of make sure things are relatively smoothed off. And right here, I'm going to make sure that I have a good nice and smooth. Okay. So if we're going to curl this over, what I have to do is kind of continue this curving a little more in here like so. And I may have to balance that on the other side later too, because I need to make sure that they look about the same. But I couldn't do that from the position it was in before. Okay. Yeah, okay. Good. All right. So now this is going to establish where the edge is. I want to get a good lip in there. Okay. A lot of curls there. You don't want to take off too much at once. This is soft wood. You can take some off, but I don't want to get too aggressive at first. Because that center tends to kind of crack out of there. I've noticed, and so I don't want to have that issue. Yeah, see how deep you can get there if you want? It makes pretty nice curls. Turn it just slightly more this way. Yeah, okay. Maybe just a little bit further. There we go. I hope that's a good angle for you guys to see what I'm doing. There we go. And now remember, I do have a recessed miter on the other side of this, so I want to make sure I don't go too deep. And I also need to know that I'm going to go inside here a little bit. I got to be really careful how I handle that. I'm noticing a lot of dust flying up, so I'm going to turn this on. I hope you'll still be able to hear me. In fact, I'll do this if I can, so you can still hear my voice okay. Okay. I'm going to switch here just for a minute. I'm going to pull this one up if I can. What this does is this allows me to go inside underneath the bowl and do an undercut. Maybe. I seem to be hitting somewhat of a issue here. Let me see. You know, there's another way of doing this if I don't want to do it that way. Got this very fine. Whoa, I didn't want that. Yep, there went a chunk. So that's not going to cooperate that way. All right, well, then we go to plan B. I knew there was something in there that was keeping it from doing it, so yeah, we go to plan B. That's okay. We still got bowl here. We can still fix this. Bring this in a little. There we go. If that's the case, we're just going to change how this goes down. We're not going to make that a curve. We are going to make this a little thinner bowl. Sometimes you go in with one plan and you come out with another one. So we just move on from there, right? Hey, Mike. How you doing, Mike Sniffer? Salvatore, Jocko, Stefan. Let us know where you guys are from. We got some others in here from Canada and other places, but I'd like to know where everybody's from. And just so you know, when we do our YouTubes, after there is an analysis that comes out for us that tells us all the demographics, like how many men, how many women, um, how many others are watching our videos, and what countries they are from. It's all aggregated. It doesn't tell us your names. It doesn't tell us who it is. It just says, I have 10% from Ukraine and 7% from Sweden and stuff like that. So it's just kind of interesting to hear from you guys and know where you're all from while we're all on live here and we can have a little conversation. I promise I won't make fun of the Canadians. Although one day I would say we had a conversation about which Canadian beer, Labatt's or Molson's, or there's 4 or 5 others that we were going through. We were having kind of a debate on which ones were good and which ones were not. I know that's an individual taste, but it was kind of a fun conversation to have. So maybe that's something we could start, Michael. We could have a question of what are you drinking right now? Are you drinking coffee, a beer, water, orange juice? I haven't had my coffee yet this morning. I'm kind of running on early morning energy, I guess is what you call it. I think we're getting near the bottom, but not all the way to the bottom, but I'm getting near. Let me see. Let me get my calipers out here and just see where we're at. Okay, it shows that we have about this much still to go. Okay. Well, actually, let me bring it out here. It shows about this much to go. So I know that my miter is part of that, so I need to kind of adjust based on the miter how far down I can go. Don't want to bottom out and have a big hole in the bottom. So it might be time to use my bottoming tools here a little bit to kind of smooth things out. I know that one's really too big for that job, but I just like using it because it's just so much fun. I'll go back to a smaller one. Well, we kind of went from having a interesting bowl to more of a candy dish here. I think I can go just a little bit deeper. A little bit rough in there, and I think I can go in the sides a little bit more. Yeah, that's a little bit better. Yeah. Okay, like that. Like that. I'm going to use my negative rake scraper just to smooth this part, this bottom out a little. Get the tear out in there. I want to make sure that gets smoothed off. Okay, there we go. That's a lot smoother. Okay, and I can sand the rest of that. So, okay, we got the hard part out of the way anyway. Get this out of here. There we go. Now, next stage. Yep, you got it. Sanding. I'm gonna sand. I'm gonna have to turn this on. I think I can take my mask off now for this part. You notice that miter held on just fine. Sorry, I'm moving you just a little bit, but I want to move this vacuum down just a little. There we go. There, now it's sucking in good. There we go. Smooth out that bottom. And you don't remember, you're only going from the center out. and send her up. Look at all that dust. Nice having a dust collector. I just bought a new micron bag for that. It's got it's a 1 micron bag, so it should collect just about everything that goes through it without blowing it back out the other end. I see some of these with a 5 or 6 micron bags, and the problem is the dust is going through it. All the fine particles are going right out the other end, and it's the fine particles you really have to worry about. That's the stuff that can get into your lungs and cause lots of damage. So there we go. Okay, let's go to next speed. And we'll do this in reverse. And I'm just turning with my hand now just to sand that edge a little bit more. Okay. By the way, Michael, we've been on for about an hour and 15 minutes, and so it hasn't kicked me off yet. So I think I may have solved part of my problem here, at least, as far as not being able to complete the videos live because we're getting kicked off all the time. And we just have to make a few adjustments, and we'll see how that works going forward. That's one thing I don't want to see is this right here, that little ridge. We'll make sure we get that out of there. As I'm doing that, I can do the outside again here too. Here. Okay. So we'll get some of this finish on here. You know what? I'm going to grab the vacuum first on that just to make sure that it's cleaned out. Let's get the vacuum in here. Second cup of coffee. Well, hi, North Carolina, by the way, Stefan. Second cup of coffee and going for your third. Okay. Hey, Walter. Walter, where are you from? What part of the world do you hail? You kind of like to ask everybody. okay, Michael. I appreciate you being there. I know you got things you're doing too. Hopefully, you're turning something or making a video for us. Michael, my moderator there, he's got his own channel that you see. Please give him a look. If you can, he's actually got some pretty good projects going. I don't want to pry too much, Michael, but did that one project that you were talking about come through with the? Well, I won't say what it is, but with the company that wanted you to do several uh, pens and so forth for them. Did that go through yet, or are you still negotiating? Hi, Renak. Michael's the only guy I know that can actually moderate a YouTube live video while he's driving in a car. I'm not sure how he does it, and I don't want to ask. I hope he's doing it safely. But the man is incredibly good at what he does, and I do appreciate him on this channel and several of our other channels. Actually, he's a really useful person to have on your side here, and just a nice guy. You know, just a really nice guy. In fact, I'm going to have to send something your way here one of these days soon. The distillery project not happening. Apparently, they want to wait a little bit. Well, put a cork in it, so to speak, and I don't mean that is a joke. Okay, but put a cork in it for now, and we'll see what happens. Sometimes they come back to you and they make even a better offer than what they did before. But if they don't contact you after a little while, contact them back and just say, hey, just wondering if you're still considering this, because I've got, and you can even lie. You can say, I've got some other projects coming up, and want to make sure that I can set aside some time for yours if you need them. So, use a little salesmanship there. But the good news is you don't have to return any of their samples, right? So, here we go. Look at that color coming out now. There's a little bit of chatoyance. That's that shimmering effect. That's called chatoyance. And don't ask me to spell it. But it really is coming out there in the inside of that bowl really nicely. And this is going to be a nice little $20 bowl, even though it's a small bowl. I can easily get 20 bucks. And by the way, nobody asked, but this is sequoia wood. And sequoia is a large, giant redwood, grows mostly here in California only. And you see it a lot in the Kings Canyon National Forest. And if you ever get a chance to go on YouTube and look up some of this on the giant sequoias, the biggest or the largest trees in the world, and some of the oldest, but also definitely the largest trees in the world. Some of those trees you could build over 100 homes out of the wood in one of those trees. They can grow to about the size of a football or pitch field in length, like 300 yards or 300, yeah, like 100 yards. I'm sorry, like three football fields. I'm sorry, three football fields. They can. They're just huge trees. You can walk through some of them, and they're just gorgeous. So videos do not do well because they don't do a very good job of showing you perspective. But standing on one and looking up, you feel so tiny. You sort of like when you see pictures of the Earth compared to the rest of the solar system, how tiny the Earth actually is. That's kind of what it is like when you're standing next to a giant sequoia. Okay, if I can make that analogy. Yeah, if it happens, it happens. That's true, but I'd sure like to see you get that one. I just, Michael, I'm running out of this sequoia wood. Neighbor had to down his tree, and this is what I got. I got several blanks out of it, but I'm coming down to my last ones. There we go. What do you think? Think that's pretty nice? I'm not sure well, I'm looking at my TV and the color there is really good, but I'm looking at my computer and it's a little bit less colorful. So I don't know. Maybe it depends on what you're watching it on. But I think this really picks up the colors very well. And I will be wiping that out here in a minute. Just want to let that kind of soak in a bit. And it'll get a couple more coats before it's completely done. And if you haven't already, I'd still appreciate if you'd hit the like button so I can we could get near 100. I don't know where we're at right now, but we got 68 people watching at the moment. I hope all 68 of you have hit the like button. And if you can, subscribe. I'd appreciate that too. There, this thing doesn't weigh more than about 4 ounces. I'd say it's very light. We are pretty near that bottom. It's a pretty representative size. I think we nailed this one. And it may look better with a gloss finish. I don't know yet. I may just wax it or I may gloss it. I'm not sure. But we have a nice finish. The ends are not muddied because we did a good job with the sanding. Yeah, overall, really nice bowl. This is slightly raised now that I put that finish on there, so I'm going to have to do it again probably. This is what I was trying to avoid. You see this right here? This, going any further, would have probably chipped up because it's near the core. The core was probably right about here, and so this is kind of a thin strip of wood. And if I'd have caught that, it would have chipped and it would have tore right up to here. So that's one of the reasons I stopped where I did. You have to read the wood. You have to know what's going on, and you have to make sure that it's not going to fall apart on you. Here's the one we did earlier. This is the one we were finishing up earlier. I'm going to go back in and wipe out some of that now because I didn't do it at the time. So I'm going to wipe this out. Still have to do the bottom side of that. But this is another piece of that sequoia. It's a bigger bowl. And you see it has that same chatoyance in here that the other one had. But this one had that big crack in it. So we dealt with the crack. It's nice and solid. This will also sell. And I know these are kind of plain looking bowls. That's because I'm letting kind of the wood do its thing on these. And I found when I went to a couple craft shows with these that just the look of them draws people's attention. Just the fact that they're red colors and and of course sequoias are local wood here. So redwood and sequoia trees and so forth are all local here. So that does draw some of the attention also. People are familiar with it. And so I didn't want to really take away too much from it. So anybody else in here? What do you got to say? I see we're dropping off on our watches right now. Okay, well, I am going to be doing a piece this next week. Got another piece to fix here too. I'm going to be doing another piece this next week that I'm going to have to cut out. It is a piece of walnut, and I have a big slab of walnut about this thick off of a branch, and I still gotta get the chainsaw out and trim it up and get it ready to go. But I'm hoping to do that this Thursday. We are going to be doing a Thursday live, and the Thursday live is going to be set for, I believe, noon again. Might be 1 o'clock. I got to double check, but we will be doing another live. So if you're subscribed, you'll get notification when we are on. So I don't know what time it is in your part of the world, but if that's noon my time, that's usually about 8 o'clock in England, some parts of England or Britain, and so Europe might be 9 or 10, but it might be a way to end the day, sort of. It will be interesting. I know. I don't know. Walnut's kind of an unusual wood. It can be really hard to turn, but sometimes it turns out beautifully. So it's currently 3:30, and so it's 7:30 here. So yeah, it's about you're 3:30 p.m. and I'm 7:30. So that's what 5, 6, 7, 8. Yeah, 8 hours difference for you, Michael. So if I do this at noon, that'd be about 8 o'clock your time. So I'll try and do it about that time, and see if we can't bring in some more people from overseas, and also the people here at home. I know it's kind of hard on a Thursday because a lot of you are at work, but for you guys that are retired like me, and my demographics show that a lot of you are of that age, that's also good. Um, so join me if you can. Uh, Tell your wife you're taking a nap and just come out and watch me instead in the shop. That's always a fun time too. And if there's any questions that I can answer for you, feel free. I'm right here, right now. So if you guys have any questions, does anybody have any questions? Let me know. Be happy to answer them. I'll even put myself on the screen here just a little bit to make sure that can I answer anything for you? Because if not, we're probably going to be ending this soon. But I don't want to give away too much, and I do have to get out there and start doing getting some other stuff turned up. I know that we're having an inch of rain next Tuesday, so hopefully everything will be dry by the time we get to Thursday. I might do another live before then, since this one's been pretty successful. Oh, I'm a little too close. You're looking at my mouth. Stupid me. Okay, so there we go. This curtain, by the way, this is my curtain that catches all the stuff that flies off, so that it lands here instead of flying all the way to the back wall. So this is a $10 purchase that really has saved me a lot of time in cleanup. But I do appreciate you all being here today. And if there's anything that I can answer for you, let me know. You get streaking on the outside of bowls when sanding. What am I doing wrong? When sanding. When sanding. Okay. Okay. Good. That's a very good question. Let me grab one of the bowls here real quick. In fact, I'll show you a bowl that I'm actually reworking a little bit. That's a great question. Now, this one I did on a live, and I didn't get a chance to go to finish it off yet. It's kind of on my things to do. But let me kind of bring this down here where you can see what I'm talking about. Okay, so there. Okay, so a lot of times when you put this on like this and you're turning it, you'll get these little sanding lines, because what happens is there's an extra little grit on your sandpaper or whatever that just breaks off, and what it does is you're pressing on your sandpaper, and it scrapes, because this is spinning several hundred times a minute, so it doesn't take much for it to scratch, and it'll scratch all the way to here, and then it drops off. So you'll see those, and so you really have to go back. Let me mount this up. It's probably easier to show this way. And I've struggled with this too. I think every turner does struggle with this, so don't feel like you're you're certainly not alone in this one. Okay, I'm just trying to get this on here, so just bear with me a second. Okay, there we go. I just don't want it flying off on me if I turn this on. It's relatively balanced. Okay. So you're sanding and you're spinning, and what happens? A little piece of the sand from the sandpaper breaks off, or you gouge, or you hit a soft spot. Now this has all three of those on here. The one method that you can use is you go back to a heavy grit, like a 60 or 80 grit, okay, and you may have to like just work that area and just keep working it until you can get that to kind of go away. Whisper, just go away. Do not do it by spinning, because when you're spinning, you may have the same issue again. Okay. I also have some end grain right here that got a little rough looking, so I need to make sure I get that cleaned up. So you're just going to have to spend the time going over that, Johnny, and my suggestion is to avoid this is you should get it to a finish where you don't have to sand much. And my biggest thing on that is using your skew and using your scrapers. If you use a scraper properly, now this is an inside scraper mostly, but if you use a scraper properly and you're just very lightly touching it, you're not pushing it at all, you're just letting it, the blade kind of just go across the surface, it will give you a very glassy, smooth finish with almost no lines or anything. And all you're doing with your sanding there is just kind of touching it up. And if you're just touching it up, there's no reason to be running it at full speed. You just want to be giving it just a nice light sanding. So on this one, this is a rough piece because this has a lot of movement in the wood. Just a lot of movement in the wood. So to get this perfectly smooth is really hard. This is pear. And I sold my other pear bowl at the craft show last week that was a brother to this one. And one of the things that sold it was how smooth the finish was, how it felt to the hand. It had some interesting color to it because pear has some really interesting colors. But what really sold it was the feel. So the sanding is a very important part, and the feel is very important. And because I only used an oil finish, you can still feel the wood. When you have a hard wood like this pear is, you really want it to be almost like the surface of a bowling ball, for instance, would be what I would make it akin to. It should feel almost like a bowling ball in your hands, very smooth indeed. And you can see, even as I'm doing this, I know you can't see, but I can see that you get these little lines. I have to kind of go back and forth because everywhere there's a little bit of a line, that means that the wood around it is higher. We need to bring that wood down to the size of the line. If you just sand into that line, you're just going to make the line deeper and more prevalent. And the idea is to blend it. Like I said, I'm using this high gloss, or this high grit, I should say, sanding paper right now on this. And it's getting some of it out. And I'll show you here what that kind of looks like. Let me see if I can bring my camera over closer so you can see this. Oops. Okay. So what I've got right here is I had some lines, and you can see this one right here. It's kind of prominent. Part of that is a dark line. Part of that is not part of the a surface problem. But the more I sand it, the more I can make that kind of go away. And I may not be able to make it go away 100%. but you have to really try and spend the time to do that. You might even have to change your sandpaper because this one's probably getting a little bit of that oil finish that it had on here. But I'm going to sand that down as best I can. And remember, this is just the high grit. This is just the heavy grit. We'll go back and do a lighter grit. And I see here, I don't know if you can see this in the picture. This right, you see this line right here. That's another one where there's a little tiny bit of a ridge. You can feel it just slightly with your finger. And that's another one I have to make go away. So I'm kind of going across here with it. And sometimes it'll look like it's going away because sawdust gets filled in there. And then when you go back to put the finish on, you go, oh crap, it showed back up again. So you really have to feel and look. And I hope that helps you guys with some of the streak problems that you might be having. But sanding a bowl this size, you probably should budget an hour. Even if you do a really fine finish on the outside with your tools, I would budget an hour to do the inside and outside of a bowl like this to really get it properly sanded. I hope that gives you a good answer. Yeah, and also, like I said, make sure you're using good quality sandpaper, and that you do change your sandpaper often, so that you're not picking up other stuff and making that go through the sanding process with you. Because if you really should have new ones every 1 or 2 bowls that you're doing, maybe 1 or 2 in the same project on some cases. And there are a couple cases where I've just had to say, you know what, I'm going to have to put this back on the lathe and get out my tools and just refinish it a little bit and then start over because it's just not going away. So that's your other alternative. It's not my favorite alternative because that changes the look of the bowl and it kind of puts you back a little bit, but that is another way to deal with this. So I'm not 100% near finished, but I'm going to put a little finish on this for you and kind of show you where we're at. So you can kind of see what it looks like, okay? Let's see what we can do. Let me get that cleaned off. Yeah, that was a little dusty. Let me turn this on for a second here. I know I should have had that on while I was doing it, but stupid me, I didn't. Now, even wiping this off, I can already see there's still some lines on here. And some of those might be, some of those, wow, there goes my voice. Some of these might be part of the wood. You just don't know sometimes, but let me take this off of here and show you. Okay. That's pretty good there. Then you get around here and you see that line. So you see this line here and you see this line here. There's a ridge right here I can feel. And you can see that line going all the way through here. So I got to get this ridge sanded out. Because otherwise it's just going to go back to looking the same way as it did. And this is beautiful wood. I mean, look at the colors in here. Okay. I've got a couple of little divot pieces because of this is end grain. So I can maybe work on getting that out. So there's a lot of work that can be done on this. Like I said, I could just do it, put a tool on it again and try and get a little bit more done with the tool. But I just wanted you to kind of see what this looks like. And that was a great question. I really appreciate it. And this, using this little inset miter tenon, allows me to go back and do this because I haven't taken a tenon off. I don't know how to take any tenon off. I can just put this back on and off we go to the races. So that to me is one of the biggest reasons why I keep a mortise tenon instead of using the tang tenon unless I have to. And there are cases where I would use that. So, okay, is there any other questions out there? We're having the cartridge question. Hi, Simone. Good morning, Thomas. Simone and Thomas, where are you guys from? Get a little of this dust off of me. My wife won't let me in the house anymore unless I beat myself against a rock first. I don't know if that works for the rest of you guys too. She's actually made me take my clothes off and down to my underwear so I can come in the house because she doesn't want to dirty the house up. Which I guess is probably the right thing to do. As long as the neighbors aren't looking over the fence, nobody's harmed. But it does make you feel a little odd, especially when it's early morning, the sun's not out, and it's about 50 degrees Fahrenheit. You know, that's when I kind of object to it a little bit. But you got to keep your wife happy, and I've managed to do it for about 47 years at this point, 46 years. So we are we are give and take a little bit on those sort of things. You know, you have to give a little and take a little, just to make everybody happy. All right, guys. Well, I appreciate everybody staying here, but I think I'm gonna get going. Let's see. These are single-ended. You told me you're too short, so people shouldn't have an issue. Okay, guys, I really appreciate it, all of you, and I hope you have a great rest of your day and have a great weekend. And we will be talking to you soon, at least on Thursday, if not sooner. But this was a successful run to make sure that I can stay connected and not lose my signal. And this seems to have worked. So happy days as far as that's concerned, right? So we'll talk to you all soon. And thank you all for coming.